Hey guys, and welcome back to the Peteytown Piranhas, a college football 2016 Builder Dynasty. In this episode, we're going to be going through year 24 of the program, and we're coming off another national championship, making that 7 in a row, so trying to keep that streak alive. And we also got a regular season game winning streak going, as well as a Big Ten Conference Championship game winning streak. And we're also going to see if we can tie Alabama for the second most national championships in college football history at 16. So with all of that said, we're going to go over our schedule that we're going to face this year, then we're going to meet the team, and then we're going to look at our initial recruiting board and get into the games. And if you like the video that you're watching, you can give it a like, and you could subscribe to the channel if you're feeling so kind. To begin our season, we're going to travel to Louisville, then we're going to host Ole Miss, and then we'll travel to North Texas. Then we're going to have Big Ten Conference play open with Washington. Then we're going to travel to Penn State and then host Wisconsin, travel to our rivals Maryland, then host Nebraska, then travel Indiana. Then we're going to have a bye week, then we take on Ohio State and Baylor, and then we close the season against Minnesota. Replacing Alex Keener at quarterback will be junior Stanley Turner. Then at halfback will be Bobby Grubb with Tony Everett making some appearances. Then at fullback will be Shakir Ferris. At wide receiver will be that deadly duo Frank Kenoy and Sua Tautu, as well as Gideon Cushenberry, D'Angelo Warmack, and maybe some appearances from TJ Bibbs. And then at tight end will be returning John Mackey Award winner Stephen Fattencoon, and we also got Dwayne Woodhead in the mix. Then at tackle, of course, will be Alex Vaughns. At guard will be that guy Kai Breeze. At center will be Reed Cantwell coming over from tackle again. At right guard will be Roger Matthews. And at right tackle will be Grant Clapp. Got some interesting things happening on the defensive line with transfer left edge Jeremiah Zuniga, and then on the right edge will be Ed Henderson. Then defensive tackle, we're going to have Ty Daly and DeJuan Aikman, but we're also going to have John Callaway in different rushing situations and different alignments like that because he's just too talented not to have on the field. Then we're going to have Sam linebacker Vince Lawrence. In the middle, of course, will be Dom Moffitt, and then the other outside linebacker will be Charlie Sternberger. At cornerback, doing something a little unique here, we're going to have Miguel Mateo slotted into the number 1 spot with Bobby Goff in the number 2, and I think Bobby will really thrive here because I see a lot of the time that our number 2 corner gets a lot of interceptions and different things thrown his way, so I want to see if putting Bobby there will help him with stats and help our defensive production overall. Then we're going to have Nick Granson in the slot. Then at free safety, a little change here. Taj G is really our best player here, but I'm going to put LaShawn Fausha out there. He just has a higher upside with that star dev and really good speed and coverage skills and everything, so I want to see if this could work out for us. Then we're going to have strong safety Denzel Brink, and then we're going to have Alfonso Harris with extra safety looks. Then at kicker, we're going to have Markel Komar, of course, for his senior year, and then at punter will be Ife Abanaconda. After going through the scouting process, we have found 6 gems here to highlight. We got wide receiver Kyle Samia with 96 speed and 93 acceleration. Then you got Pat Sates, a wide receiver as well, a route artist, and you can see the good route running and goal layout. Then you got right edge Eric Amaro. He's a very good speed rusher, good athleticism, 87 finesse moves, and that bronze quick jump and bronze takedown. Then you got linebacker Terrell Bettis, got pretty good athleticism and good pursuit at 85. Then you got left edge Deshaun Marshall. He's a power rusher guy with 82 speed, 86 acceleration, and 81 power moves. Then you got defensive tackle CJ Hamilton. He's 336 pounds, so a guy we'd love to have in those 3-3-5 sets. And then the rest of the guys bring all good things to the table that we would love to add to the roster, so we'll see what we can do here with our recruiting. On top of the Heisman Trophy list to begin this season will be our 2 wide receivers, Sua Tautu and Frank Kenoy. It's time to open our season by traveling to Louisville with their number 7 ranking and 91 team overall, and they played in week 0 and won that game, so they're already 1-0. And the sack is going to be made by Louisville there. We're in their red zone, but now they're going to really make us work to try to get into the end zone. Apparently we didn't have to work too hard though, because Stanley Turner is going to take that one right up the middle thanks to some nice blocking by the O-line, and it's going to be 7-0 Piranhas. And he's going to get chased down as Ed Henderson has our first sack of the year. After the sack, Louisville was able to pick up some yards to put themselves in field goal range. It's going to be a 51-yarder, and their kicker is going to send it up, and it is good to make it 7-3. And Suatautu off that option is going to get into the end zone. That's a fun little play where he got an orbit motion that goes into a triple option, and the receiver becomes the pitch man, and we pitched it to him, and Sua's got that rushing touchdown to make it 14-3. And that's going to be another touchdown for the Piranhas on that bubble screen. Can't tell who it is. I think it's somebody a little bit farther down the depth chart. But we are going to take this 21-3 lead over the Louisville Cardinals as our offense has looked really good so far. It's D'Angelo Warmack in the end zone. And throwing a strike, Stanley Turner. What a throw into the hands of Suatautu, who's got his second touchdown of the day. I just can't believe that. That was a laser from Stanley Turner, as we're going to make it 28-3. And a strike from Stanley Turner into Suatautu's hands. Couldn't say his name for whatever reason, but it's going to be Suatautu on that. It's a little on the edge there. It's an option route where he can do a hitch or a streak. He chose the streak, and he was on the same page with Stanley Turner, as we're going to get that touchdown to make it 35-3. And we're going to get an interception here. Vince Lawrence is going to pick it off, and he's going to return it down the numbers, and he is in the end zone. Great zone coverage from Vince there, and that's going to make it a 42-3 lead for the Piranhas. And that's going to be intercepted by Louisville, trying to get Frank Kenoy coming over the middle, but their man was there. And unfortunately, that'll be the first interception of the year for Stanley. And the read option is going to work out for their quarterback as he ran into a little bit of traffic there, but still got the ball across the line. And it'll be 42-10. And it's going to be a seam catch here. It looks like TJ Bibbs, I believe, making this one for a huge play for the Peteytown Piranhas. And we are going to extend our lead to 49-10. And that is just an absolute dot from Stanley Turner into the hands of Suatautu. Just incredible throw there from Stanley. He's had a couple of lasers, and this is going to make it 56-10 Piranhas. It was a very strong statement by the Peteytown Piranhas to open this year, as we got a 59-13 victory over Louisville. Just a lot of things working here on offense, and our defense doing their thing as well. And just very happy with how we started here. Our offense was able to total 631 yards, while Louisville had 261. We had 137 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, and they had 95 and a touchdown. For passing, we had 494. They had 166. On third down, we were 6 for 9, nice, and they were 3 for 13. And for turnovers, we both had 1. Stanley Turner with quite the debut as our starting quarterback with 476 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception, and he was sacked once. And for our running game, David Rawlings led us. He had 9 carries for 73 yards. Suatautu had that 30-yard touchdown run, and Stanley Turner had a rushing touchdown. And for receiving, Suatautu, he had 8 catches, 165 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Stephen Fattencoon, 7 for 121. Frank Kenoy, 8 for 89. Then TJ Bibbs with a 71-yard touchdown catch. And D'Angelo Warmack with 2 for 14 and a touchdown. Dom Moffitt led us with 9 tackles today, and then for sacks, we had 1 from Ed Henderson and half a sack for Antoine Willett and Manuel DeLuca. On interceptions, we got 1 from Vince Lawrence, and he returned it 37 yards for a pick 6. Then for the kicking game, Markel Komar came in while the backups were out there, and he hit a 35-yarder. The first home game for the Piranhas this year will be against the Ole Miss Rebels, and they lost their first game, so they dropped down in the polls to number 25, but they still have a 92 team overall, and we're going to get ready for this game of the week. And first play of the game from scrimmage is going to be an interception for the Piranhas, as our guy, looks like Ed Henderson, was back there in coverage and comes away with the ball. Offense can't get it into the end zone after the interception, so it's going to be up to Markel Komar to put the points on the board, and he will, to make it 3-0. Ole Miss had a big passing play, but they cannot capitalize on it as they settle for the field goal here. And their kicker is going to bounce this one off the upright, and it is no good. I was ready to just automatically say it was going in, but it didn't go in as we remain at 3-0. An interception by Ole Miss trying to hit our man Stephen Fattencoon over the middle, and that's going to be returned to our 23-yard line, and Ole Miss is in threatening position once again. And it's going to be a touchdown for Ole Miss, so this time a team is going to capitalize on a mistake from the opposing team, and Ole Miss does it to us to make it 7-3. And a sack by the Piranhas as that ball pops up in the air on a fumble, and it's recovered in the air by our strong safety, Denzel Brink. What a job by the defense, really needed that play. And we're going to be set up at the 26-yard line. And here's a sack for Ole Miss as their guy is going to get us down, and we're going to be forced to kick a field goal. Following the sack, it's going to be Markel Komar kicking a 44-yard field goal, and Markel will put it through, and we'll get a little bit closer at 7-6. And Stephen Fattencoon is going to find himself in the end zone for the Piranhas, and we're going to take the lead. After a very frustrating first quarter, it'll be 13-7. And Stanley Turner is going to get into the Piranhas, and we're going to increase our lead over the Ole Miss Rebels, as we're going to make it 20-7. And what a pass from Stanley Turner to the corner of the end zone, where we have a guy there on the sideline making that touchdown. Couldn't really tell who it was, but it's going to be 27-7 for the Piranhas. And Stanley Turner right up the middle has another rushing touchdown, and the Piranhas are going to extend this nice lead to 34-7. And that is an open Sua Tautu, and Sua's in the end zone for the Piranhas, as we're really just feeling ourselves now with this 41-7 lead. And we have hit a man deep. That's D'Angelo Warmack, and D'Angelo's in the end zone for the Piranhas. Nice toss from Stanley Turner. D'Angelo able to beat his man, and it's going to be 48-7 Piranhas. So the Piranhas took a quarter to get their bearings, but once they did, we were able to score a whole bunch of points in a row on Ole Miss to make this a 55-7 victory, and Stanley Turner, of course, doing his thing, and just very proud of the Piranhas after the slow start, just really asserting their will. The Piranhas had 558 yards, while Ole Miss had 214. Then for their running game, they had 75, and we had 118 and 2 touchdowns. Through the air, they had 139, and we had 440. On third down, they did not convert one as they were 0 for 8, and we were 4 for 10. For turnovers, they had 2, and we had 1. Stanley Turner shook off that early interception to deliver 372 yards, 4 touchdowns, the pick, and he was sacked once. And then in our running game, David Rawlings had 8 carries for 61 yards, Bobby Grubb 10 for 47, then Stanley Turner 5 for 11 and 2 touchdowns. Then in the receiving game, Stephen Fattencoon led us. He had 10 catches, 109 yards, and 1 touchdown. Then you had D'Angelo Warmack 4 for 103 and a touchdown, and then Gideon Cushenberry 3 for 68, and Sua Tautu 5 for 46 and 2 touchdowns. Then you even had Philip Fangupo, the freshman. He had 4 for 38 and a touchdown with the backups. A group of guys with 5 tackles today with Vince Lawrence, Bruce Speed, Bobby Goff, and Alfonso Harris. Then for sacks, we had 1 from Ty Daly, then half a sack for Marquez Smith and Antoine Willett. On the interceptions, we had 1 with Ed Henderson to begin the game, And then we also had a forced fumble that was forced out by Ty Daly, and it was recovered very nicely by Denzel Brink. And then on the kicking game, Markel Komar, he came in and hit both of his field goals with a long of 44. Even though Frank Kenoy has dropped out of the Heisman Trophy race, there is a new leader here with our quarterback Stanley Turner, and Sua Tautu has dropped down to third. We're going to travel to North Texas now to take on the Mean Green with their 79 overall, and they did lose this year, so they started the year ranked, but because of that loss, they're no longer ranked, so maybe takes a bit of the luster out of this one, but still got to go in here and respect our opponent. And it's going to be Stephen Fattencoon in the end zone. Nice little out route by him to get free, and the Piranhas will take the 7-0 lead. And here's a sack for the Piranhas. John Callaway making his way to the quarterback for a big loss. And pressure by the Piranhas, and Jeremiah Zuniga will get in there for the sack. And it's a deep ball launched to Sua Tautu, and Sua's going to come down with it, and that is just a beautifully thrown ball by our guy Stanley. Great route by Sua to get open, and it's 14-0 Piranhas. And Stephen Fattencoon gets in on the crosser, and he is going to have a touchdown for the Piranhas, and we're going to take a very nice 21-0 lead in the first quarter. And a sack for the Piranhas. Nice job from behind as John Callaway gets in again. And it's going to be a wide open Bobby Grubb on the orbit play, and it's going to be a touchdown for the Piranhas, Bobby's first of the year, and it's going to be 28-0 Piranhas. And from behind, it's going to be John Callaway using his speed to get to the quarterback, and John is just absolutely dominating in this matchup. It'll be Markel Komar out there for a field goal attempt, and Markel is going to calmly put it through to make it 31-0. And a sack for the Piranhas again, as it's going to be our guy, looks like DeJuan Aikman, and a whole bunch of other Piranhas getting in on that one. And it's going to be a nice job by Gideon Cushenberry getting into the end zone, using that physicality to push by that defender. And it's going to be 38-0 Piranhas. And another sack for the Piranhas as we're just taking over there in this pass rush with Ty Daly in there. And that's going to be an interception for the Piranhas. Great job keeping his feet in bounds too. I believe that was Alfonso Harris coming down with that one. With the clock almost over here in the first half, it's going to be a field goal attempt for Markel Komar, and he's going to put that one through. And the Peteytown Piranhas will go into halftime with a 41-0 lead. And downfield, it's going to be intercepted by Bobby Goff, just trying to make something happen in this game, and Bobby took that chance away. And there's a sack on the play, and we fumble it, but it's going to be picked up by our offensive lineman as we retain possession. And Stephen Fattencoon gets free, and Stephen's in the end zone again for the Piranhas, as we're going to take the 48-0 lead. Excellent game here from our Piranhas as we get this 65-0 victory over them for our first shutout of the year, just pretty much flawless for the Piranhas. Our offense put on a clinic with 644 yards to North Texas's 163. On the ground, we had 55 yards and a touchdown, and they had -7. Then for passing, we almost hit 600 yards. We ended up with 589, and North Texas had 170. We were 7 for 10 on third down, and they were 3 for 15. And for turnovers, we didn't have any, and we forced 2. Stanley Turner was awesome today with 485 yards, 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he was sacked once. Then Marco Ballage had 104 for a touchdown. Not a lot to speak of in the running game as Bobby Grubb led us with 9 for 19, but we did get a touchdown carry with Marco Ballage. And then in the receiving game, a lot of contributors here. Stephen Fattencoon with 12 for 134 and 3 touchdowns. Frank Kenoy, 5 for 124. Tony Everett, 5 for 117. Then TJ Bibbs, 2 for 63 and a touchdown. Sua Tautu with a 57-yard touchdown catch. And Bobby Grubb with 2 for 51 and a touchdown catch. And then we got Gideon Cushenberry with a 2-yard touchdown catch. John Callaway was absolutely dominant out there with an 8-tackle game with 5 for a loss and 3 sacks to lead us. And then for the other sack guys, we got 2 from Jeremiah Zuniga, half a sack for Ed Henderson, DeJuan Aikman, Brian Castellanos, Marquez Smith, Ty Daly, Antoine Willett, and Trevor Tavares. Then on interceptions, we got 1 from Bobby Goff and another from Alfonso Harris. And then for forced fumbles, we got 1 from Trevor Tavares, but we didn't recover it. And then in our kicking game, our guy Markel Komar, he went 3 for 3 with a long of 59. For his effort, Stephen Fattencoon was given the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. In our recruiting, we're in good standing with guys like Pat Sates, Terrell Bettis, Deshaun Marshall, and CJ Hamilton, but we are losing on Amari Yeboah, and I think I'm just going to let this battle go and put the points elsewhere on guys, so unfortunately you got to say goodbye to Amari. We have a ranked game with Washington coming up now as they're number 23 with a 90 team overall, and they're also 3-0 on the year. And shakes off that tackler, and Bobby Grubb is in the end zone through the air on this one as we're going to make it 7-0. And a sack incoming as Ed Henderson brings him down. And Bobby Grubb is going to swerve around those guys, and Bobby's in the end zone on an electric run out of the Wildcat. Just found where he needed to go through that lane, and it's going to be 14-0 Piranhas. And Stephen Fattencoon had to fight through some guys in coverage there, but he's able to get free for the touchdown, and the Piranhas have a 21-0 lead. And here's a sack for the Piranhas in the end zone. DeJuan Aikman is going to be the one to bring him down, and we're going to be up 23-0. 39-yard field goal attempt for Markel Komar, and Markel is going to put this one up, and it is good to make it 26-0. And a nice interception there. It's going to be Bobby Goff climbing the ladder for that one. Has a man get in his way, and he's going to return it all the way to their 6-yard line. What a great job by Bobby. And it's going to be a touchdown for the Piranhas. A nice route by Frank Kenoy where he started on the outside and came all the way inside. And Stanley Turner found him for the 33-0 lead. And a sack for our guy. It's going to be Ed Henderson, and he's going to get an 8-yard loss. And a sack for the Piranhas as John Callaway forces the fumble, and that's picked up by Ed Henderson. And back-to-back sacks by the Piranhas lead to that fumble 6 in the end zone as we make it 40-0. Washington manages to get it in scoring position as they're going to take a field goal here before the end of the half. And we almost blocked it, but I think we pulled up smartly because it might have been a penalty. And Washington puts it through to make it 40-3. And that is going to be a touchdown for Washington as their offense showed signs of life on that drive to make it 40-10. It's a Bobby Grubb carry, and Bobby's in the end zone for the third time today for the Piranhas as we go up 47-10. And we're going to step right in front of that for the interception. Vince Lawrence gets another one, and he's returning it all the way for a touchdown. Just really jump that. They try to do a little play action, try to throw us off, but Vince was not fooled, and it'll be 54-10. Nice job in this one by the Piranhas to get this 54-10 victory over Washington. Just a more balanced approach this time around. We've been kind of heavily on the pass this whole season, but the running game really came alive in this one, and we got that beautiful balance you always like to see on offense. Washington had just over 200 yards as they had 201 and we had 470. For the running game, they had 41 and we had 129 and 2 touchdowns. In the passing game, they had 160. We had 341. On third down, they were 3 for 9. We were 6 for 8. And for turnovers, they had 4 and we had 0. It was a solid day for Stanley Turner as he had 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions, and he was not sacked. And for the running game, Bobby Grubb had 9 for 80 and 2 touchdowns. On the receiving front, you had Stephen Fattencoon. He had 12 for 111 and 1 touchdown. And Gideon Cushenberry had 6 for 77. Frank Kenoy, 6 for 60 and a touchdown. And then Bobby Grubb added another touchdown to give him 3 on the day. 11 tackles for Dom Moffitt today, and then for sacks, we had 2 from Ed Henderson, 1 for DeJuan Aikman, Antoine Willett, and John Callaway, and an interception from Bobby Goff along with Darryl Hardman, and a pick 6 from Vince Lawrence for 36 yards. And then we had a forced fumble by John Callaway, and that was recovered by Ed Henderson in the end zone. And then for kicking, Markel Komar. Unfortunate, he missed his first of the year, but he hit another one for 39 yards. Our first signing of this recruiting class is 5-star wide receiver Pat Sates. And then joining Pat is going to be Will linebacker Terrell Bettis. And we got another commit with left edge Deshaun Marshall. And another commit here with defensive tackle C.J. Hamilton. More guys have entered their top 3 now, as Kyle Samia with that visit last week didn't quite commit to us yet, but he should be. And then you got Colin Orlando, another receiver, also in his top 3 as we try to hold off Miami as they have a week 5 visit this week. Then you got another receiver with Glenn Pounds, nobody really challenging for him. Then you got linebacker Emmett Pierscherbacher. He's in his top 3, and we got him on that visit, so feeling pretty confident here. Then you got Wayne Berriman, another situation where nobody's going after him. And then you got Kiki here. Can't really pronounce that last name, Uwazuke. That's my best pronunciation. Sorry if I ruined it, but it is what it is. But we might not get him, so the pronunciation might not end up mattering because Penn State's in a pretty good position here. Don't know if we're going to get to that Week 8 visit to try to force a recruiting battle, but we'll see what happens. And then we got Angel Vales in a tight battle here with Texas, but we do have that Week 6 visit to try to help us. Stanley Turner is the top guy in the Heisman Trophy race still, but our guy Sua Tautu got taken off, and he was replaced by Stephen Fattencoon. We now travel to Penn State with their 99 team overall and number 8 ranking, and they are 3-1 on the year, and we're going to be featured in the game of the week. And it's going to be Sua Tautu off the slant. It's an RPO flat play with that slant attached to it, and Sua's able to get that one. And it's going to be 7-0 Piranhas. Our offense is able to get it inside their 10, and it's going to be a Markel Komar field goal attempt, and he puts it through to make it 10-0. And trying to hit the seam, but it is cut off by Dom Moffitt, and Dom can't quite get around their running back, but he will get it to their 37-yard line. Excellent zone coverage there from Dom. And Stanley Turner lets it fly right into the bucket. It's going to be caught by Sua Tautu. What a play by the Piranhas. We love that verts play, and it's just executed to perfection there. Stanley Turner just had to be accurate on that, and he was. And Sua just ran right under it and made that catch with the defender draped all over him. And it's going to be a sack for the Piranhas. It looks like Ed Henderson and friends were in on that. 50-yard field goal attempt here for Markel Komar, and Markel is going to put it up, and it is off the uprights and no good. And Bobby Grubb is kind of going to be carried into the end zone there, and he will take that as he salutes the Penn State crowd, and it'll be 24-0. And here's a sack from Penn State as they're going to push us back 7 yards. And that is going to be a sack by Penn State as they very rudely push back Stanley Turner. And Marco Ballage is going to find our guy Frank Kenoy in the end zone. So Marco came in because on that previous sack, our guy Stanley got a little banged up. So Marco comes in and delivers a nice throw for the touchdown to Frank, and we're going to go up 31-0. And that's going to be intercepted by Penn State along the numbers, and he is going to get dragged down, and they return it to the 46-yard line. Just Stanley Turner trying to make a play on 3rd and short. Wish something else got open underneath, but apparently not. We have had some great success here in Happy Valley in the past, and today was no different as we get the 38-7 victory over Penn State. Just nice job all around here for the Piranhas. The Piranhas finished the day with 488 yards to Penn State's 199. On the ground, we had 142 and a touchdown, and they had 38. Through the air, we had 346, and they had 161. On 3rd down, we were 9 for 13. They were 3 for 11. And on the turnovers, we both had 1. Stanley Turner with 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception, and the interception was probably my fault. The offense was driving and everything, but it was in the 4th quarter, so probably should have just brought the backups in. And then he was sacked twice. Then our guy Marco Ballage had 33 yards and 2 touchdowns, one of which he got in there when Stanley went down with a little injury, but our guy was able to come back, but got to give credit to Marco for being prepared. And then for our running game, Bobby Grubb had 12 for 62 and a touchdown, and David Rawlings had 9 for 62. And then on the receiving front, Stephen Fattencoon with 10 catches, 102 yards. Sua Tautu, 7 for 76 and 2 touchdowns. Frank Kenoy, 5 for 44 and a touchdown. And then we got our guy Philip Van Gupa with the backups. He had a 26-yard touchdown. 8 tackles for Denzel Brink today to lead us, and then for sacks, we had half a sack each for Ty Daly, Ed Henderson, and DeJuan Aikman, and then on interceptions, we had 1 with Dom Moffitt. Then for our kicking game, Markel Komar missed another one today, but he also hit a 26-yarder. More commits for the Peteytown Piranhas as 5-star wide receiver Kyle Samia has joined us. And then joining Kyle is going to be another wide receiver with Glenn Pounds. And another guy here, it's going to be Sam linebacker, Amit Pirschbacher. Well, as it turns out, I won't have to worry about the pronunciation for Kiki's last name because after we beat Penn State, he decided to commit to them, so go figure. But for the rest of our guys, we got Colin Orlando in a recruiting battle with Miami. They had their visit and did not overtake us, so feeling pretty good with our visit for him this week. Then we got Angel Vales in another recruiting battle. We have our visit before them, so see if we can get that to boost us. And we have some other guys on week 6 visits in their top 3 with Steven Stewart and Javier Lolito, and then Sherwin Owen as well, and he's in a tight battle with Penn State. And then you got Tyler Haslam, another guy in a week 6 visit, but he's in his top 5 stage, but this should put him in that top 3 stage. And then we're going to have Wayne Berriman with his top 3 and nobody challenging for him, so feeling pretty confident and optimistic about these battles. Our guy Stanley Turner is in 2nd place for the Heisman Trophy now, just below Boise State's quarterback Emmanuel Hay, and you can see that stat line he had against Notre Dame, 482 yards and 7 passing touchdowns, so I can see the reasoning behind that, even if it was a loss for them. We now take on another Big Ten Conference foe with Wisconsin coming to town, and they are a 78 overall with a 3-2 record. And here's a sack for Wisconsin on our first possession, pushing us back. And here's a sack for the Piranhas. Jeremiah Zuniga helps to clean it up, and Antoine Willett got there first. Another sack for the Piranhas as Ty Daly gets in there, and our guy, it's going to be Ed Henderson as well. Stanley Turner taking this one himself, and that offensive line just got a bunch of pancakes on that one to make it possible for Stanley to get the touchdown to open up the scoring. And here's a sack for the Piranhas. It's going to be Jeremiah Zuniga getting it and forcing the fumble, but Wisconsin picks it up. And Jeremiah Zuniga with 2 sacks on this drive, giving him 3 on the game so far. And that's going to be picked off by Wisconsin, trying to hit our guy on the crossing route, Frank Kenoy, but they had a couple of guys in the area we wanted to throw it to, and that's going to cost us. And Stephen Fattencoon going down the sidelines, and Stephen is going to turn that into a touchdown. Nice job by him. And the receivers outside for making their blocks to spring him free. And it's going to be 14-0 Piranhas. And that is going to be an incredible interception for the Piranhas, and it's going to be Jeremiah Zuniga getting that one. It was Ed Henderson who jumped up to deflect it, and it bounced right into Jeremiah's hands to make it 21-0. A sack for the Piranhas again on this quarterback, and this time it's going to be John Calloway leading the charge. And another sack, back-to-back plays. It's going to be John Calloway. And there's a touchdown for the Piranhas over the middle. It's going to be Frank Kenoy hauling it in. And it's going to be 28-0 Piranhas. And yet another sack for this team. It's Jeremiah Zuniga again, who is just having an absolute day out there. As the seconds tick down after that sack, it's going to be a field goal attempt for Wisconsin, and they're going to make it 28-3 at the end of the first half. Stanley Turner up the middle, and nobody's in the vicinity, and Stanley is going to get a rushing touchdown for the Piranhas to make it 35-3. And that's going to be ruled a touchdown for Wisconsin, as they're going to make this a 35-10 game on the sneak. Launching it deep, separating, and it's going to be a touchdown for the Piranhas as Stanley Turner drops it in the bucket to D'Angelo Warmack, and it's going to be 42-10 Piranhas. And the pass rush is alive again as John Calloway gets in yet again. And this is going to be a touchdown for the Piranhas as they lost our man in coverage and Stanley Turner found him. And that's going to make it 49-10 Piranhas. I believe that's Dwayne Woodhead on the touchdown reception. A very nice win here for the Piranhas as we win 49-13. And the main story of this one was that pass rush. Can't speak right now, but just absolutely relentless. We finished this one with 471 yards, while Wisconsin had 188. They had 37 yards on the ground and a touchdown, while we had 125 and 2 touchdowns. For the passing yards, we had 346, and Wisconsin had 151. And on the turnovers, they had 1 and we had 1. Stanley Turner with 346 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception, and he was sacked once. Then for the running game, David Rawlings had 9 for 63, Bobby Grubb 10 for 38, and Stanley Turner 2 rushing touchdowns. And then for the receiving game, Stephen Fattencoon with 9 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown. But that concern is that medical badge next to him. Don't love to see that, so we'll see how severe the injury is. Then you got Frank Kenoy, 7 for 73, and 1 touchdown. Dwayne Woodhead, 2 for 54 and a touchdown. And D'Angelo Warmack with a 46-yard touchdown catch. Jeremiah Zuniga with one of the best defensive performances you'll ever see as he had 8 tackles, 5 for a loss, and 4 sacks. And for other guys with sacks, we had 2.5. That was John Calloway, 2 for Marquez Smith, half a sack for Dom Moffitt, Ed Henderson, and Antoine Willett, as well as Ty Daly. And for interceptions, of course, Jeremiah Zuniga, he had that one that he returned 14 yards for a touchdown, and then he also forced a fumble that we did not recover. On the recruiting trail, we have added 4-star wide receiver Colin Orlando to the Peteytown Piranhas. And then joining Colin will also be strong safety Angel Vales. And then joining them will be left edge Steven Stewart, a 5-star player. And then joining all those guys will be cornerback Javier Lolito. And then we also have another one with left guard Sherwin Owen, another 5-star. And joining all of them will be left tackle Tyler Haslam, the recruits just rolling in. And even more with Sam linebacker Wayne Berryman. I thought we might have been done, but I was wrong with left tackle Cameron Waller. Obviously, Jeremiah Zuniga was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week against Wisconsin. And we're probably going to see the National Defensive Player of the Week. There it is for Jeremiah Zuniga. Absolutely fantastic game from him. Few more guys in their top three now, with free safety Cameron Irvin, who's going to come on a visit not this week but the following week. And then you got Eric Amaro at speed rushing edge, and the trouble here is that Alabama's got that week 8 visit, so they might overtake us at some point. And then you got Artie Rush that nobody's challenging for. The sad reality for Stephen Fattencoon is that he'll be out for 6 weeks due to a broken collarbone, but the positive outlook is that he won't be gone for the whole year. He'll be back later, so he'll be able to help us out when he returns. Stanley Turner has returned to the top of the Heisman Trophy list, which we love to see, and Stephen Fattencoon is also here, but we know that he won't be able to be on this list for long. Our rivals Maryland await us now in this game with an 80 team overall and 1-5 record on the year as they've struggled, but with rivals you can never count them out. Maryland will end their first drive with a field goal attempt, and their guy is going to put it up and he's going to put it through to make it 3-0. And Frank Kenoy will get into the end zone on that simple play, and the Piranhas are going to go up 7-3. Stanley Turner launching deep for Sua Tautu, and he has got him for the long touchdown. What a job by Sua, and really Stanley placed that ball. Sua wasn't, he wasn't really open, but our guy Stanley was able to get it to him. And that's going to be intercepted by Maryland off the play action, trying to hit Frank Kenoy, and they're going to have it at the 50. And that's going to be intercepted by Nick Granson, and he almost went into the end zone, but he got out of there, and he's going to return it out to the 18-yard line, so both QBs trading interceptions. It's going to be Dwayne Woodhead for the touchdown for the Piranhas, and we bounce back from that interception to make it 21-3. Another interception for the Piranhas. We were bringing a blitz, and that maybe rushed him a little bit, and it's going to be Jeremiah Zuniga on the pick. 2 straight weeks with a pick for our defensive end. And that's going to be an interception from Stanley Turner, trying to throw it deep for our guy, but just not a great decision from Stanley today on his second pick. Frank Kenoy again is in the end zone. Maryland try to get over there, but not in time, as the Peteytown Piranhas will take the 28-3 lead. Interception here for the Piranhas. Vince Lawrence is going to jump in front of that one, and we have it on their side of the 50. And Sua Tautu is going to get out of there. He was able to make that catch in the window and then use his speed and athleticism to get around the defense, and it's going to be 35-3 Piranhas. Maryland was able to put up a couple of scores in that fourth quarter to make the Peteytown-Maryland war look closer than it was, but we still get this 35-17 victory over our rivals. Got a couple of interceptions from Stanley Turner, but the team rallied around him. This is the closest that the total offense has been all year, as we had 420 and Maryland had 341. For the running game, we had 66 and they had 34. Through the air, we had 354, and we gave up over 300 for the first time, with 307 to the Terrapins. And then for third down, we were 5 for 7. They were 10 for 17. And on turnovers, we had 2 and they had 3. Despite the 2 interceptions from Stanley Turner, he still put up some numbers with 352 yards and 5 touchdowns. And in the running game, we had 7 for 30 from David Rawlings. On receiving, we had 5, 185, and 2 touchdowns for Sua Tautu. And Frank Kenoy had 12 for 88 and 2 touchdowns. Dwayne Woodhead doing a good job out there in replacement of Stephen Fattencoon with 8 for 50 and a touchdown. Dom Moffitt was making plays all over the place with 13 tackles and 5 for a loss. Our only sack today was by J.P. Bridges, and interceptions we had 1 from Jeremiah Zuniga, 1 from Nick Granson, and another from Vince Lawrence. Mike linebacker Artie Cush has decided to join the Peteytown Piranhas. Couple of guys in their top 3 now, as Cameron Irvin will be coming to town this week for a visit, so hopefully we can sign him. Then we got Eric Amaro, where Alabama has a visit with him this week, but we do have that coachability that gives us a little extra influence when a player decides to visit somewhere before us, so we're hoping that kind of offsets their visit. Not surprised that a 2-interception day dropped Stanley Turner to 3rd place on the Heisman Trophy list, behind Emmanuel Hay and new leader Texas running back John Branham. We're going to host the 4-3 Nebraska Cornhuskers with their 99 team overall, so you could say that they're underperforming this year, but definitely a talented team that's hungry for a victory. And that's going to be intercepted by Nebraska on the first pass of the game for us. And Nebraska's guy is going to dive in, take a big hit, and it's going to be a touchdown for Nebraska as they capitalize on the interception. And it's going to be Sua Tautu sprinting and getting into the end zone, and he had a guy trying to drag him down, but Sue was able to get it over the line, and it's going to be 7-7 Piranhas. And it's going to be an open Frank Kenoy in the end zone for the touchdown on the slant, and the Piranhas take the lead 14-7. And it is going to be caught in the end zone by Dwayne Woodhead. Stanley Turner taking his time a little bit there, and he found Dwayne for a 21-7 lead. And that's going to be cut off by Vince Lawrence, and Vince is running down, and he is going to get in there. Actually, that's not Vince Lawrence, that is Charlie Sternberger, excuse me. Charlie making a big play there, and we're going to go up 28-7. And it will be Frank Kenoy taking the slant again, and it's going to be another touchdown for the Piranhas. We ran that play earlier to great success, this time a little farther out, but it still results in a touchdown, as it's going to be 35-7. Actually, this was Gideon Cushenberry out there making the touchdown, so nice job, Gideon. Markel Komar comes on for a near end of half field goal, and Markel will put it through to make it 38-7. Here's a sack for the Peteytown Piranhas as Jeremiah Zuniga gets in there. And that's going to be intercepted by Nebraska, trying to hit the seam we were, and that did not work out for Stanley Turner. Our field goal attempt leads to a field goal attempt for Nebraska after the interception, and it's going to be a field goal for Nebraska here. It was after the interception. I lost track of the timeline, but this was after our interception, and it's 38-10. And here's a sack for our guys, as it's going to be Jeremiah Zuniga getting him down. Got hit first by our guy Ed, but couldn't bring him down there. And that is just a very nice throw from their quarterback, finding the open man in our zones. And Nebraska is going to go up 38, or they're going to go up. We're going to be up 38-17. And bubble screen out there to D'Angelo Warmack, and D'Angelo's in the end zone for the Piranhas. And we're going to extend our lead to 45-17. And here's a sack for the Piranhas as our guys get in there, John Calloway and friends. Another sack as Ty Daly just flattens them and forces the ball out, but we don't recover it. And Nebraska has beaten us over the top after the sacks, and it's just going to be a very long touchdown for them. They beat us, and that just is what it is, as we're going to go be up 45-24. And this is going to be Sua Tautu, and Sua's in the end zone again for the Piranhas. Just can't stop, won't stop. And it's going to be a 52-24 lead. This was by no stretch of the imagination a perfect day for the Piranhas, but when you are not at your best and you still win 52-24, you will certainly take that. We gained 452 yards to Nebraska's 279. They had 42 yards and a touchdown on the ground, while we had 67. Then for passing yards, they had 237. We had 385. On third down, they were 4 of 13. We were 10 for 12. And turnovers, they had 1 and we had 2. Stanley Turner had 385 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions in this game. And, those interceptions are a bit of a worrying trend with our guy, but at least he's putting up numbers and touchdowns despite it. And then he was not sacked. And for rushing, we had Bobby Grubb go for 12 for 67. On receiving, we had Sua Tautu with a big day, 8 catches, 153 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Frank Kenoy, 11 for 96 and a touchdown. Gideon Cushenberry, 3 for 66 and a touchdown. And Dwayne Woodhead, 8 for 47 and a touchdown. Not to mention a 2-yard touchdown from D'Angelo Warmack. We got 10 tackles from Dom Moffitt today and 3 for a loss. And for sacks, we had 2 from Jeremiah Zuniga, 1.5 from Ty Daly, and half a sack for Dom Moffitt, Ed Henderson, and John Callaway. On interceptions, we had 1 from Charlie Sternberger, and he returned that for a 30-yard touchdown. And then we also had a forced fumble with Ty Daly, but it was not recovered. And then for the kicking game, Markel Komar came in and hit his only field goal attempt for 32 yards. We got a commitment with Cameron Irvin at free safety, so love to see that. And joining our guy is going to be center Jarek Baskerville. Charlie Sternberger was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week. Alabama did not overtake us with their Week 8 visit for Eric Amaro, so I'm feeling a little more confident here. Then for Isaiah Pike, we got him over Arizona State and USC with those Tier 3 pipelines, so feel like we're going to be able to get him. The top 3 for the Heisman Trophy race have stayed the same, but we got Sua Tautu back on the list. It's time for us to travel to Indiana to take on the Hoosiers with their 66 overall and 2-6 record. And here's a sack for Ed Henderson as he brings down their quarterback for an 8-yard loss. Stanley Turner launching it deep here, and it's going to be Sua Tautu leaping in the end zone to make that grab, and we start off very nicely, explosively really on offense, and it's going to be 7-0 after that long touchdown to Sua Tautu. And here's a fumble, and it's going to be recovered in the end zone by the Piranhas as we are going to recover that. Looks like Dewan Aikman. Couldn't tell who forced it out, but just a load of Piranhas by the quarterback, and it's going to be 14-0. And that's going to be a touchdown for Indiana off the RPO, their quarterback making the quick decision, so Indiana has a nice recovery after that fumble in the end zone that we got for the touchdown. And Dwayne Woodhead is going to just sneak into the end zone there, hitting the pylon on his way in. And Dwayne's going to put us up 21-7. And intercepted by the Piranhas. It's going to be Dom Moffitt grabbing that. And we got it in their red zone to start our next drive. And it's Dwayne Woodhead again on the exact same play we scored the last touchdown on, and it's the same result, and it's going to be 28-7. And just an immediate sack there by Dewan Aikman, who's had just a great game so far. And on the RPO slant, it's going to be Frank Kenoy getting free for the touchdown, and the Piranhas will extend it to 35-7. And it's going to be Bobby Grubb up the middle, and Bobby's got that touchdown for us to extend it to 42-7. And here's a sack for the Piranhas. It's going to be Ed Henderson. And it's going to be Ty Daly getting in there, forcing the fumble. Nobody can get it, but it's going to be Ty who ends up with it. So he forces it and recovers it, and we're set up nicely to put up some points before the end of the half. With just 1 second remaining, Markel Komar is going to try a tough hash mark field goal, but Markel makes good work of it, and we're going to be up 45-7 at halftime. Suatautu separating, and Suatautu has made it into the end zone for the Piranhas. Can barely say his name because he just makes me so giddy with excitement when he does stuff like that. And it's going to be 52-7 Piranhas. And it's going to be Bobby Grubb in the end zone, this time through the air on a receiving touchdown, as the Piranhas get a 59-7 lead. A complete demolition by the Peteytown Piranhas as we get the 83-7 victory over Indiana. Just great job on all sides of the ball. The Piranhas had 620 yards to Indiana's 198. On the ground, we had 142 and 3 touchdowns, and they had 3. Then for passing, we had 478. They had 195. On third down, we were 4 for 5. They were 4 for 14. And turnovers, we didn't have any, and we forced 4. Fantastic performance from Stanley Turner as he had 407 yards, 6 touchdowns, and no interceptions, and he was not sacked. On the ground, we had David Rawlings lead us with 9 for 79 and a touchdown, with Bobby Grubb getting 5 for 31 and a touchdown, and Marco Ballage 2 for 14 and a touchdown. On the receiving end, we had Suatautu going off. He had 6 catches, 173 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Dwayne Woodhead 9 for 109 and 2 touchdowns. Gideon Cushenberry 2 for 63. Frank Kenoy 4 for 48 and a touchdown. And then down here we had an 11-yard touchdown catch by Bobby Grubb. Dom Moffitt with 9 tackles today to lead us with 3 for a loss. And then for sacks, we had 2 from Ed Henderson, 1 each for Ty Daly, John Calloway, Dewan Aikman. And then for interceptions, we had 1 from Dom Moffitt and another from George Otis that he brought back for a pick 6 of 16 yards. And then we also had a forced fumble from our guy Ty Daly and as well as John Calloway. And we recovered 1. It was Ty Daly getting his own. And then for the kicking game, Markel Komar, he came in with 2 for 2 and a long of 53. We got 5-star cornerback Isaiah Pike to join the team, and another guy with right edge Eric Amaro. I was very happy to see that Alabama did not steal Eric Amaro away from us, and now we can focus on the last high schooler on our list. It's a 5-star gem tight end, Andre McNitt, who I added later in the process. Only Nebraska's going after him, and I don't really understand why, because he's amazing. He's got 90 speed, 83 acceleration, 83 catching, 83 catch in traffic, and the bronze sure hands. We have a rematch of last season's national championship with Ohio State. They're currently ranked number 13 with a 96 team overall, and they're 7-2 this year. Ohio State going for a 62-yard field goal attempt on their first drive, and their kicker is going to boot it away, and it is good. So impressive kick there to open up the scoring. And it's going to be Dwayne Woodhead working his way around that defender to get into the end zone for the Piranhas as we take a 7-3 lead. And what a nice, what a nice strike from Ohio State's quarterback into the back of the end zone for his receiver, and they're going to make it 10-7. Frank Kenoy is going to get free, and he does a little wild spin in the end zone, but it's going to be a touchdown for the Piranhas to take the lead at 14-10. And that's going to be a touchdown for Ohio State. They're going to beat Bobby Goff on the slant to retake the lead as this game has been back and forth, and it's going to be 17-14. And that's going to be intercepted by Ohio State as we try to go over the middle, but their guy was right there. And that's going to be intercepted again by Ohio State, trying to go deep to Frank Kenoy, and we kind of forced that one by Stanley Turner. And here's a sack, and it's going to be a fumble. The ball's still on the ground, and Ohio State is going to get to it, and that's going to be Dewan Aikman who got the sack and forced fumble. After that sack, it's going to be a field goal attempt for Ohio State as our crowd tries to disrupt him, but it's not going to work out as Ohio State's going to knock that through to extend it to 20-14. Stanley Turner winding up and firing downfield, and it is going to be Sua Tautu making that catch and putting us at their 3-yard line. What a bounce back from Stanley as he found Sua downfield, and we're well set up to try to take this lead. And out of the backfield, it's going to be Tony Everett making the catch, and he plows through their defender to get into the end zone. So that big play from Sua helped set us up, and we knocked on the door and pushed ourselves through the door to make it 21-20. And trying to hit the seam, we're going to cut it off beautifully there. Dom Moffitt, great coverage on that, and we're going to deny them a scoring opportunity. Ohio State's guy hit a 60-yarder earlier in the game, and now we have a chance with Markel Komar to get a 60-yard field goal ourselves. Markel has sent it up, and it is good. What a great kick and a much-needed one there to make it 24-20. Ohio State's going to attempt a field goal now, and their guy is going to miss it wide to the left, so very nice for us. This will be a much shorter attempt for Ohio State's kicker, as it's a 34-yarder. And he is going to put it up, and it is through to make it 24-23. Floating it deep, and it is going to be Sua Tautu in the end zone. Oh my goodness, Stanley Turner, as soon as he had the ball, he knew he had Sua, and he just lofted it up there, and Sua ran under it, and we're going to have a 31-23 lead. Even though this field goal doesn't really help them, they should really be going for it. Ohio State's going to go with the field goal attempt, and their man is going to put it through, and it's going to be 31-26. It's being lofted up for Sua Tautu again, and this man is an absolute mismatch. Oh my goodness, Sua again with a long touchdown. Stanley Turner finds him again. Unbelievable job from Sua, and it's going to be 38-26 Piranhas. And he tried one towards the end zone, and it deflects off his receiver's hands into the hands of Ed Henderson, who was back there in coverage, and the Piranhas defense is going to hold. On 3rd down and 2 for the Piranhas, we got about 1:20 left in this game. No timeouts again for Ohio State, and Bobby Grubb is going to make the cutback, and it is going to be over as the Peteytown Piranhas are going to be able to kneel this one out with Stanley Turner with the seconds ticking down now. And there is the kneel from Stanley Turner. They made me wait for it, I guess, but the clocks have hit zeros, and the Peteytown Piranhas get this very tough 38-26 victory over Ohio State. Our regular season game winning streak was definitely on the line here, but the Piranhas were able to persevere and get the W. Both of these teams had over 500 yards, as Ohio State had 526 and we had 540. On the ground, they had 26 and we had 114. Through the air, they had 500. I can't remember the last time we ever gave that up. And we had 426. For 3rd down, they had 7 for 16. We were 3 for 7. And for turnovers, they had 2 and we also had 2. Stanley Turner with 426 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, just decisions he'd love to have back, and then he was not sacked. And on the ground game, Bobby Grubb had 12 for 103 and was very effective in closing it out on that final drive. And on the receiving game, who else but Sua Tautu was our leader. Just an incredible game. 4 catches, 197 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Frank Kenoy, 5 for 75 and a touchdown. Bobby Grubb, 5 for 59. Dwayne Woodhead, 4 for 31 and a touchdown. And then we had a 3-yard touchdown catch from Tony Everett. Vince Lawrence led us with 16 tackles today and 3 for a loss, while Dom Moffitt had 14 with 2 for a loss, and then 13 for Denzel Brink. And we had 1 sack today from DeJuan Aikman. On interceptions, we had 1 from Dom Moffitt, which is a big one for us, and the 1 to close the game out with Ed Henderson. And then we also got a forced fumble with our guy DeJuan, but we did not recover it. And then on field goal kicking, Markel Komar came in once, but it was a big one as he hit a 60-yarder. Despite the yards and touchdowns that Stanley Turner put up last game, it was those interceptions that bit him as he's now off the Heisman Trophy list. But we still got our guy Sua Tautu up here. Now we face a team in the Baylor Bears with a 94 overall, the number 8 ranking, and a 9-1 record, and they're a team who has had some very good recent success with Heisman Trophy winners and national championship game appearances, but when we faced off against them in those opportunities, we've handled them well, so we'll see if we can do it again, but definitely got to keep the focus because today is a new day. And it's going to be Bobby Grubb spinning, and he is going to carry 3 Baylor Bears defenders into the end zone with him. Oh no, that's Tony Everett, excuse me. Tony Everett's going to make that happen, and it's going to be 7-0 Piranhas. And here's a sack for the Piranhas. Our guy is going to be charging in there. Ty Daly brings him down. And that's going to be a diving catch in the end zone for our guy Sua Tautu with another touchdown this year. And it's going to be 14-0 Piranhas. Baylor keeps us out of the end zone this time, and that's going to set up Markel Komar for a field goal attempt. And Markel puts it through for a 17-0 advantage. And this time Stanley Turner is going to be taken down for a sack, trying our verts play, but Baylor was able to snuff it out. And it's going to be the flat play for Dwayne Woodhead, and Dwayne's in the end zone to extend it to 24-0. And here's a sack for the Piranhas. Pretty much untouched there was our guy Jeremiah Zuniga. Another field goal attempt for Markel Komar with just under 2 minutes remaining in the first half, and Markel is going to put that through to make it 27-0. And that's going to be intercepted by Baylor. Stanley Turner just running around in the pocket and threw a wild one into the hands of the defender. And we're going to get an interception right back, and it's going to be Denzel Brink running it down the sideline, and he is not going to be caught on the pick six. What a job by the defense responding, and it's going to be a 34-0 ball game. And here's a sack for the Piranhas. Denzel Brink having a big day. Makes it even better with that sack. And in the end zone, it is going to be caught by our guy Frank Kenoy. He was just standing there waiting for the ball to be delivered, and it was to make it 41-0. The Peteytown Piranhas handle their business against Baylor to get the 48-10 victory over them. Just nice job out there by the Piranhas, especially after that tough game against Ohio State. Our offense was able to get 471 yards to Baylor's 222. On the ground, they had 45, and we had 80 and a touchdown. Through the air, they had 177. We had 391. On third down, they were 4 for 13, and we were 6 for 10. And on turnovers, we both had 1. Stanley Turner finished the day with 323 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception, and he was sacked once. Then our guy Marco Ballage had 68 yards and a touchdown. And then for rushing, we had 11 carries and 33 yards from Bobby Grubb, and then we had 9 for 22 and a touchdown by Tony Everett. Then on the receiving side, we had Frank Kenoy. He had 7 for 137 and 2 touchdowns, and one of those touchdowns was with the backups. I have some formation subs and things, and he was still out there for that. Forgot to take him out, so it is what it is. Then our guy Sua Tautu had 4 for 95 and a touchdown. Then Gideon Cushenberry had 6 for 62, and Dwayne Woodhead had 6 for 25 and a touchdown. Dom Moffitt led us today with 10 tackles and 2 for a loss, and then for sacks, we had 1 each for Denzel Brink, Ty Daly, and Jeremiah Zuniga. Then we got an interception with Denzel Brink as well, and he returned it 60 yards for a touchdown. And then for kicking, Markel Komar went 2 for 2 with a long of 43. Denzel Brink was rewarded with the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week, and Denzel was also the National Defensive Player of the Week. I'm making a change at cornerback. I'm putting Jordan Iwama out there in place of Miguel Mateo. Miguel is pretty solid, but he does have lower speed than Jordan, and I think that really makes a difference out there, so want to see what Jordan can do with that elite dev. There are no more Peteytown Piranhas in the Heisman Trophy race as of right now, as John Bonham has just continued to be in first place for a while. We're going to close our regular season against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, who are struggling this year at 1-10, and they have a 72 team overall. And importantly for the Peteytown Piranhas, we're trying to make it 15 straight seasons without losing a regular season game. The streak currently stands at 180 regular season games won. And here's a sack for the Piranhas, John Callaway forcing it out, and that's going to be recovered by Antoine Willett. And it's going to be Frank Kenoy in the end zone making that secure catch with the defender on him. And then we're going to open up the scoring to make it 7-0. And John Callaway in there for his second sack of the day. Short field goal attempt for Markel Komar, and he is going to miss it wide to the left. And Ed Henderson is going to chase him down for a 10-yard loss on the sack. Out to Frank Kenoy, and Frank's got his second of the day for the Piranhas, as we're going to extend our lead to it's 14-0. I thought we had another score in there, but it's 14-0. And in the middle of the end zone for the third time today, it's going to be Frank Kenoy scoring a touchdown, as it's going to be 21-0. And that is going to be Sua Tautu on the play. Had to reach behind him for that ball, but he's able to haul it in to make it 28-0. And it's going to be Frank Kenoy, and Frank Kenoy is in for the fourth time today. What a day for our guy Frank, as we're going to go up 35-0. And it's going to be Antoine Willett pushing down their quarterback for this big sack. And this time it's going to be Gideon Cushenberry just running downfield away from the defense, and Gideon has a touchdown, and the Peteytown Piranhas will make it 42-0. We end our regular season with a 59-0 shutout over Minnesota. Just great job all around by the Piranhas, and we now have 15 seasons in a row where we haven't lost a regular season game, and 180 regular season games won in a row. We outgained Minnesota 515 to 127. Then on the ground, we had 135 and a touchdown, and they had 19. Through the air, we had 380, and they had 108. For third down, we were 6 for 8. They were 3 for 11. And for turnovers, we didn't have any, and we forced 3. Stanley Turner was pretty much perfect today, as he had 350 yards and 6 touchdowns with no interceptions and no sacks. And then for our running game, Bobby Grubb had 10 for 57. David Rawlings had 4 for 15 and a touchdown. Then for receiving, Frank Kenoy with a big day, 9 catches, 125 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Then Stephen Fattencoon returned to us with an 8-catch and 73-yard effort. Gideon Cushenberry, 3 for 65 and a touchdown. And Sua Tautu, 5 for 57 and a touchdown. Charlie Sternberger had 5 tackles, as well as Dom Moffitt. And then for sacks, we had 2 from John Callaway, 1.5 for Antoine Willett, 1 for Ed Henderson, and half a sack for Marquez Smith. Then we had 2 interceptions, one by Taj G, and another by George Fattencoon that he returned 48 yards for a touchdown. And then for our forced fumbles, we got 1 with John Callaway, and it was recovered by Antoine Willett. And then for our kicking game, Markel Komar unfortunately had a miss today, but he also hit a 21-yarder. In the Big Ten Championship, it's going to be the Michigan Wolverines, a team that we're very used to playing in this spot. Heading into the Conference Championship week, we got our guys Stanley Turner and Sua Tautu in the Heisman Trophy race, so we'll see how this all shakes out. This will be the 5th time that we take on the Michigan Wolverines in the Big Ten Championship game. We've, of course, won the previous 4, trying to make it 5 here. And we also have our streak of Big Ten Championship games won. It's at 13 right now and trying to make it 14 in a row. And that's going to be intercepted by Michigan, trying to go deep for Frank Kenoy with Stanley Turner, but they are going to deny us on that one. And there's a sack by Michigan and forces the ball out, but thankfully our lineman picks it up. We get deep into Michigan territory, but can't punch it into the end zone, so Markel Komar will come on, and Markel will put it through to make it 3-0 Piranhas. And here's a sack for the Piranhas. It's going to be Ty Daly forcing the fumble, but we do not recover it. On 4th and inches, Michigan decides to go with a field goal attempt, and their kicker is going to send it away, and it is good to tie up the game. And that is going to be considered a touchdown for the Piranhas as Frank Kenoy sneaks that one over the line, and the Piranhas will take the 10-3 lead. It's going to be another Frank Kenoy touchdown catch. This one very simple as he just had the flat route on the RPO, and it's going to be 17-3 Piranhas. And downfield, it's going to be Bobby Goff picking that one off, and he's got a nice lane to return it as he gets it to the 32-yard line. Great coverage by Bobby. Offense gets it down to the 1 right before the end of the first half, and we're going to go with a field goal attempt by Markel Komar, and Markel is going to bang that one through to make it 20-0, or 20-3, excuse me. Michigan is going to try a 32-yard field goal attempt here to make it a 2-score game, and they are going to put it through to make it 20-6. One field goal attempt leads to another, this one by Markel Komar, and Markel is going to put that through to make it 23-6. And he was hit as he was thrown, and then it knocked off of our hands in the defensive backfield and right into the hands of LaShawn Fausha. What a play there by our defense, just all facets working together to make that interception. It'll be a hash mark field goal attempt here for Markel Komar, and Markel is going to put it up, and it is through to make it 26-6. The Peteytown Piranhas are once again Big Ten champions after this 26-6 victory over Michigan, our 14th straight Big Ten championship. Just an absolutely wonderful accomplishment for this team, and we did it as a team, really. Just a solid defense, not very explosive offense today like we're used to seeing, but they got the job done, and a 20-point victory is always welcome, and you can see the boys just doing their thing out there. And just incredibly proud of this team for what we've done so far this year as we celebrate once again with the Big Ten Championship trophy. The Piranhas had 439 yards to Michigan's 251, and then on the ground they had 73 and we had 114. Through the air they had 178 and we had 325. On third down they were 6 for 12, we were 7 for 11, and then on turnovers they had 2 and we had 1. Stanley Turner had 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, the 1 interception, and he was sacked once. And then in the running game, Bobby Grubb had 14 for 96. And then for receiving, Gideon Cushenberry 5 for 89, Stephen Fattenkuhn 10 for 57, D'Angelo Warmack 3 for 48, Frank Kenoy 5 for 45, and 2 touchdowns. Dom Moffitt led us with 11 tackles and 2 for a loss, and then for sacks we had 1 from Ty Daly. On interceptions we had 2, 1 from Bobby Goff and another from LaShawn Fausha. And then for our forced fumbles, we had 1 by Ty Daly, but we did not pick it up. And then for kicking, Markel Komar, he was perfect today with 4 for 4 with a long of 54. Frank Kenoy was the player of the game in the Big Ten Championship. John Branham did end up winning the Heisman Trophy, and he really deserved it after being in first place for so long. Dom Moffitt is the Chuck Bednarik Award winner. Jeremiah Zuniga was the Defensive End of the Year. Dom was also the Bronco Nagurski Trophy Award winner. Stanley Turner won the Davy O'Brien Award. Even in his limited time, Stephen Fattenkuhn was still able to bring home the John Mackey Award to keep that streak alive. Dom was also rewarded with the Dick Butkus Award. Jeremiah Zuniga also won himself the Lombardi Award. We know Frank Kenoy had himself a good game in the Big Ten Championship, but he also got injured during it with an abdominal tear, and he'll be out for the next 3 weeks. I think that puts him in where he can get back to the National Championship if we make it there, but not 100% sure on that. Looking at how the rest of the Heisman Trophy race went, you had Stanley Turner in second place, and then a receiver from Army, Tremaine Kenoy, in third place. They must have changed coaches or something, because that's pretty crazy. Then Sua Tautu was in fourth, and then Boise State's quarterback Emmanuel Hay was in fifth. We can take a look at these dev traits now for our recruits, and wide receiver Kyle Samia is a star, then Pat Sates is impact, edge player Steven Stewart is a star, guard Sherwin Owen is star, linebacker Terrell Bettis is impact, then edge Deshaun Marshall is star, defensive tackle CJ Hamilton is elite, so our first elite guy, then wide receiver Glenn Pounds is normal, linebacker Emmett Pierschbacher is star, wide receiver Colin Orlando is impact, strong safety Angel Vales is star, cornerback Javier Lolito is normal, left tackle Tyler Haslam is impact, linebacker Wayne Berryman is impact, left tackle Cameron Waller is normal, Mike linebacker Artie Cush is impact, free safety Cameron Irvin is also impact, center Jarek Baskerville is impact, edge Eric Amaro is elite, so love that we were able to get him after all that. Then cornerback Isaiah Pike is also elite, so a bit of a mix of players, got some elites and good chunk of stars and maybe more normals than we like, but like where we're at here. In the college football playoff bracket, it's going to be number 5 Pitt versus number 12 Colorado State, then number 8 Oklahoma State versus number 9 USC, number 6 Clemson versus number 11 SMU, number 7 Louisville versus number 10 Michigan, and then the top 4 seeds are us at number 1, Miami number 2, Texas number 3, and Notre Dame number 4, and we await Oklahoma State and USC's winner. And it's going to be number 8 Oklahoma State beating USC to take us on in the quarterfinal. In the first round, Pitt was able to blow out Colorado State, then Oklahoma State won by 11 over USC. SMU was on the upset for Clemson with a 10-point victory there. Then Michigan beat Louisville by 3 scores, so that's going to set up Notre Dame and Pitt, us versus Oklahoma State, of course, Texas versus SMU, and Miami versus Michigan. Number 8 seed Oklahoma State only had 1 loss all years. They went 13-1. They have a team overall of 87, and we're going to all take our talents to the Rose Bowl. And here's a sack for the Piranhas on the first drive. It's going to be award winner Jeremiah Zuniga. After the sack, Oklahoma State is going to try a field goal attempt, a 58-yarder, and their kicker is going to send this one away, and it is through, so nice kick by him to make it 3-0. And Stanley Turner puts it right on the numbers for D'Angelo Warmack in the end zone. Nice throw from Stanley, nice concentration from D'Angelo as we take the 7-3 lead. And here's a sack for the Piranhas. Our guys getting in there. It's going to be Ty Daly and I believe John Calloway. And Bobby Grubb is going to get downfield blocks to spring him free, and Bobby has found the end zone. Nice run by him. And the Piranhas will go up 14-3. And Gideon Cushenberry is going to make the catch off the slant and break that tackle, and Gideon is in the end zone. What an individual effort by him. And the Piranhas will go up 21-3. And it's going to be the RPO where it's going to get Dwayne Woodhead free for the touchdown. Nice job there by the Piranhas, and it's 28-3. It's a deep ball, and that's going to be D'Angelo Warmack with another long touchdown catch from the arm of Stanley Turner. D'Angelo really filling in nicely for Frank Kenoy with his injury, and he's making the most of his opportunity to make it 35-3. And here's a sack for the Piranhas. Our guy Ed Henderson getting back there along with Jeremiah Zuniga. And Sua Tautu has taken a slant and then split through the defense, and Sua Tautu is gone for the touchdown. What a great play by him. And it's going to be 42-3 Piranhas. The Peteytown Piranhas exit this quarterfinal game with a 52-17 victory over Oklahoma State. The backups getting some shine in that second half, and we are just going to keep marching on this season. Our guy Stanley Turner has set the school record for single-season passing yards. The Piranhas finished this one with 571 yards to Oklahoma State's 311. Then on the ground, they had 83 and a touchdown, and we had 111 and a touchdown. For passing yards, they had 228. We had 460. On third down, they were 5 for 17. We were 5 for 10. And turnovers, there were none in this one. Stanley Turner putting on a show out there with 417 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he was not sacked. Then for a running game, Bobby Grubb had 4 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. And then for receiving, Gideon Cushenberry, 5 for 130 and a touchdown. Sua Tautu, 3 for 125 and a touchdown. D'Angelo Warmack, 2 for 92 and 2 touchdowns. So 2 catches, 2 touchdowns is a nice ratio. And Stephen Fattencoon, 5 for 45. And then we got some touchdowns down here. Philip Fangupo had an 8-yard touchdown, and we had a touchdown from Dwayne Woodhead. We got 7 tackles today from Vince Lawrence to lead us, and then for sacks, we had 1.5 each for J.P. Bridges and Jeremiah Zuniga, then half a sack each for George Otis, John Callaway, Brian Castellanos, Ty Daly, Antoine Willett, and Ed Henderson. And then for our kicking game, Markel Komar went 1 of 1 with a 49-yarder. In the semifinal, it will be the number 5 seed, our rivals Pitt. Pitt got to us by getting a 10-point victory over Notre Dame, and then on the other side of the bracket, Texas beat SMU by 24, and then Miami lost to Michigan in an upset there for Michigan, and they got a 10-point victory. And then it's going to be Texas and Michigan on the other side, and of course us versus Pitt. It will be another edition in the rivalry of the Pitt Panthers and the Peteytown Piranhas, and this time the Panthers-Piranhas provocation will take place in the semifinal at the Orange Bowl. And Ty Daly sprinting towards the quarterback, and he's going to bring him down for the sack. And TJ Bibbs is going to make that catch, and he's going to sprint into the end zone. He got hit, but it does not matter as we get the points, as it's going to be 7-0. And another sack for the Piranhas. It's a forced fumble by Ty Daly, and John Callaway is going to recover it as we're going to be right outside their red zone. And that's going to be intercepted by Pitt. Stanley, that ball just got away from him, I think. And he's going to be chased down and eventually brought down at our 48-yard line. And that's going to be another interception for Pitt, trying to hit our guy in the flat, and they were all over that. Stanley just too late on that, I guess, but could have maybe seen what other options were out there. And we're going to get an interception right back. Jordan Iwama making that one, and he's running down, and he's going to get to the 33. Nice response from our defense and Jordan. And Stephen Fattencoon is going to get into the end zone on the crosser, and the Piranhas have a 14-0 lead, thanks in large part to that interception from Jordan Iwama. And it's going to be Bobby Goff going down the sideline, and Bobby is in the end zone for the Piranhas off that orbit play that we love in this red zone fringe, and it's 21-0 Piranhas. And trying to go to that edge there, and it's going to be intercepted by Vince Lawrence. Just that outside throw, couldn't get it to his man as Vince was in the way. And Stanley Turner is going to try to escape the pocket, but then he decides to throw it, and he throws it right into the hands of the Pitt defender, trying to hit our man, just didn't see him. And he's going to get chased down, and it's going to be Ty Daly and Jeremiah Zuniga on that one. And here's Ty Daly forcing another fumble on a sack, and they are losing a lot of yards there as their man recovers it. And another sack for the Piranhas as DeJuan Aikman gets in there, as well as Ty Daly. After all that, Pitt's still in field goal position, and they are going to kick this one away, and it is through to make it 21-3. And a sensational catch in the end zone by TJ Bibbs. He went up and over that defender and pretty much bailed out our guy Stanley Turner, who just threw it up and gave him a chance, and TJ rewarded him. And that's another interception for Vince Lawrence. That quarterback tried to throw a dart, but Vince denied it, and we're going to be set up at their 29. And off an RPO play, it's going to be our guy Dwayne Woodhead again in the end zone as we make it 35-3. A couple of late scores by Pitt don't matter here, as we still get the 35-17 victory over them to advance to the national championship once again in this program's history, and really handing our rivals a bitter loss here, which we love to see because we don't like them, so that makes sense. So very happy about our Piranhas. We outgained Pitt by just over 200 yards at 409, and they had 208. Then for the running game, they had 41 yards and a touchdown, and we had 63. Through the air, they had 167, and we had 346. On third down, they were 5 for 12. We were 7 for 12. And turnovers, we both had 4 in a pretty ugly game in that respect. It was quite the roller coaster for Stanley Turner, as he had 346 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, and he was sacked once. Then for the running game, Bobby Grubb had 8 for 39. And for receiving, our guy Stephen Fattencoon, 11 catches, 117 yards, and a touchdown. And TJ Bibbs, 3 for 80 and 2 touchdowns. And then we got Bobby Grubb, 3 for 36 and a touchdown. And then 2 for 8 and a touchdown by Dwayne Woodhead. Dom Moffitt was all over the field today with 10 tackles and 6 for a loss, and then we had a big day from Ty Daly with 4 sacks and 5 TFLs, and we also got half a sack each from John Callaway and DeJuan Aikman. Then for interceptions, we got 2 from Vince Lawrence and 1 from Jordan Iwama. And then scrolling on over to our forced fumbles, Ty Daly forced 2 of them, and we recovered 1 with John Callaway. And then for Markel Komar, unfortunately missed his only attempt of the day. The national championship game will be a rematch of the Big Ten championship as we take on number 10 seed Michigan. We have great news that Frank Kenoy has healed from his injury and will be able to play with us in the national championship. It's rematch time versus Michigan, and this time it's for all the marbles as we go for the national championship. We're trying to get our 8th straight and our 16th overall as a program to tie Alabama for 2nd place all time, so a lot on the line here for the Peteytown Piranhas. On their first possession, Michigan is going to put it in field goal range to make it a 54-yard kick for their guy, and he sends it and it will sail through as they take the early 3-0 lead. We stall out deep in Michigan territory and have to settle for a field goal of our own by Markel Komar, and Markel is going to put it through to tie up the game. And that's going to be an incredible interception by Michigan in the end zone, trying to hit our guy Dwayne Woodhead down there, but Michigan denied us. And he's going to throw it right into the hands of our guy. It's going to be Charlie Sternberger, and Charlie is trying to break free, running down the hash mark, and Charlie Sternberger's got a pick 6. What a play by Charlie. After that interception on our last drive, our defense steps up big time to deny Michigan any scoring opportunity, and we turn that into one for ourselves as we make it 10-3. And here's a sack from Michigan. That big man got into the face of Stanley Turner and brought him down. And it's back-to-back sacks for Michigan, and they pop the ball out, and that's going to be recovered by Michigan. So that's 2 turnovers now for our guy Stanley, and this one's going to put Michigan at the 28-yard line. And Michigan is going to dive into the end zone here, and they're going to take full advantage of that forced fumble, and they're going to tie it up 10-10. Stanley Turner taking this one, and he is going to power his way through to the end zone, and the Piranhas retake the lead at 17-10 with 34 seconds left in the first half. And it's going to be Bobby Grubb taking that handoff and taking it into the end zone. Nice job by Bobby and the offense. And that's going to be 24-10 Piranhas. And trying to fire it over the middle off that play action. That's going to be Dom Moffitt making the pick, and he's trying to run it back. Maybe got a little tied up with Bobby Goff there, but we are going to have it at their 12-yard line. And Bobby Grubb is going to fight into the end zone again for the Piranhas on the receiving end this time. And it's going to be 31-10 Piranhas after that immediate response after the interception. Stanley Turner getting that block downfield, a pancake block, and Stanley is going to take it in on the rushing touchdown as we extend it to 38-10. And it's another lane for Stanley Turner, and he is going to score again. What a run by Stanley. That just opened up like the Red Sea for him, and he was able to make it happen. And it's going to be 45-10 Piranhas. And Michigan's guy is going to get free off that RPO, and Michigan gets a little bit closer as it's 45-17. For the 8th straight time, the Peteytown Piranhas are the national champions of the college football world. Just an incredible job by our Piranhas all season long. That third quarter was a real separator as we just dominated there, and Michigan just couldn't come back from that. And we just leave them wondering what they can do to beat us, and it's the second time this year we beat them, and 2 times they were very important games in the national championship and of course the Big Ten championship. Petey Prebitt lifting that trophy once again for the Peteytown Piranhas, a program that has made history now as we have tied Alabama with the second most national championships ever at 16 as all the boys celebrate with the trophy. Stanley Turner has set a new Big Ten single-season passing yards record. Our Piranhas put up 466 yards to Michigan's 235, and they had 60 yards and a touchdown on the ground. We had 180 and 4 touchdowns. For passing, they had 175. We had 286. For third down, they were 4 for 9. We were 7 for 10. And for turnovers, we both had 2. Stanley Turner with 286 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and he was sacked twice, and he lost a fumble on one of those sacks. Then in the running game, we had Bobby Grubb in his last game go for 23 carries, 123 yards, and 1 touchdown. Then you got Stanley Turner, 6 for 48, and 3 rushing scores, giving him 4 total on the day. And then for receiving, Frank Kenoy leaves us with 5 for 65. Dwayne Woodhead had 7 for 57. Sua Tautu in his final game had 4 for 56. And then Bobby Grubb added 3 catches, 22 yards, and a touchdown. In his final game, Dom Moffitt was all over the place with 9 tackles and 3 for a loss. We did not get a sack today, but we did get a couple of picks with Dom Moffitt and Charlie Sternberger getting 172 yards to the house for a pick 6. And then for Markel Komar, in his final game, he went 1 for 1 with a 20-yarder. Charlie Sternberger was the defensive player of the game in the national championship. And our guy Bobby Grubb was the offensive player of the game. For our season stats, Stanley Turner threw for 5,889 yards, which surpassed our previous record by around 700 yards, so really nice job there. Then he also had 68 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. And then in the running game, you had Bobby Grubb, 159 on the carries, 893 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Then you got David Rawlings, 77 for 446, and 2 touchdowns. Stanley Turner, 46 carries, 164 yards, and 8 touchdowns. And then in the receiving, a lot of damage done here. You got Sua Tautu with 70 catches, 1,488 yards, and 19 touchdowns. Frank Kenoy, 91 catches, 1,106 yards, and 16 touchdowns. Stephen Fattencoon, 95 catches, 977 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Dom Moffitt led us with 133 tackles and 32 for a loss, and then for other TFL leaders, we got 24 from Ty Daly and Jeremiah Zuniga, and 20 from Ed Henderson. Then on sacks, we got 11.5 with Ty, 11 for John, and 10.5 for Jeremiah Zuniga. On interceptions, we got 5 from Vince Lawrence, 4 from Dom Moffitt, and 3 from Bobby Goff. And then on our defensive touchdowns, we got 2 for Vince Lawrence and Charlie Sternberger, 1 each for Jeremiah Zuniga, Ed Henderson, Denzel Brink, George Fattencoon, George Otis, and DeJuan Aikman. Then pass deflections, we got 14 from Dom, 10 from Bobby, and 10 from LaShawn Fausha. And then we had forced fumbles, 6 from Ty Daly, just incredible there. Then you got 3 for John Callaway, then 1 each for Trevor Tavares, DeJuan Aikman, and Jeremiah Zuniga. Then on recoveries, we got 1 each for Ty Daly, John Callaway, DeJuan Aikman, Antoine Willett, Ed Henderson, and Denzel Brink. And then we had any blocks this year? No. And we did have 1 safety with DeJuan Aikman. Markel Komar finished with 21 field goals of 25 attempts for an 84% and a long of 60. For some career stats, we got Bobby Grubb at 255 carries, 1,543 yards, and 12 touchdowns. And for receiving, Bobby ended up with, scrolling down, he had 37 catches, 361 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And then scrolling back up for our other guys, Stephen Fattencoon finished with 267 catches, 2,575 yards, and 34 touchdowns. Sua Tautu, 95 catches, 1,828 yards, and 22 touchdowns. And then Frank Kenoy, 137 catches, 1,752 yards, and 22 touchdowns. Dom Moffitt leaves us with 216 tackles, 40 for a loss, and 3 sacks to go with 5 interceptions, and he also ended up with 16 pass deflections. Vince Lawrence had 191 tackles, 26 for a loss, 1.5 sacks, and 9 interceptions, and then he also had 2 defensive touchdowns and 6 pass deflections. Ty Daly finished his brilliant career with 72 TFLs and 42 sacks, so he broke that 40-sack club. And then for his other stats, he had 1 pass deflection, and he had 11 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and then all the way at the end, he had 1 safety. Markel Komar finished with 75 made field goals on 92 attempts and an 81%, with a long of 61. In the players leaving stage, we had 7 guys looking to maybe transfer, and we convinced 4 of them to stay. Marco Ballage was not one, as he's going to test the waters out there. Damian Cummings has decided to stay. Then you got DeJuan Aikman, who's leaving. Then another guy staying is Shakir Ferris. And Duke Shelley has also decided to remain with us. Alex Hurtado decided to leave, but we did get DeMarco Baskerville to stay, which is big because he's an elite dev. We say goodbye to another senior class who never lost a game while they were here, and you got Alex Vaughns at tackle to start it off, just a brilliant guy and very dependable, and Kai Breeze was the same at guard. Then you got Bobby Goff, a playmaker out there, and then Sua Tautu, just pretty much the most dangerous play in college football this season was the go route to Sua because he just consistently made plays on those. And then you got Dom Moffitt, an award winner. Then Frank Kenoy, who just with Sua Tautu formed probably the most deadly 1-2 punch at wide receiver in the country. And then you got Jeremiah Zuniga, who came over as a transfer and became an award winner with us, so love to see that. Then you got Denzel Brink, a dependable and playmaking safety, and Vince Lawrence really shined this year, especially on interceptions and making plays out there. Then Stephen Fattencoon this year was a bit of a mixed bag. He had some injuries that he was dealing with, but when he was out there, he was very productive and still managed to become a 2-time John Mackey Award winner. Then you got Ty Daly, just one of those defensive tackles that really made an impact when he really, from the word go here, when he started his career and just kept making production and getting sacks and doing all the good things that we love. And then you got Roger Matthews, another good guard who's leaving us. And Charlie Sternberger really popped with a couple of plays this year, especially in that national championship. And then you got Grant Clapp, another tackle who we're going to miss. And we got Bobby Grubb, who got his chance to be the number 1 back this year. Not as many yards as other guys got, but still had a productive year. And Taj G, maybe not the playing time that he would have wanted, but maybe we can get him into the draft and make his career here worthwhile. And then we got a lot of guys here that didn't really get to play much except for Markel Komar, one of those kickers who, just wish we could have maybe gotten a little better, but while he was out there, he still made the kicks that he needed to and everything. So had a couple of moments where he struggled in games, but he was a dependable kicker as he went along. And then you got some other guys and just a senior class that we're going to miss very, very much. 19 Peteytown Piranhas heard their names called at the NFL draft. I believe that's got to be the most we've ever had in one class. And the first rounders were Frank Kenoy, Sua Tautu, Stephen Fattencoon, Kai Breeze, Alex Vaughns, Jeremiah Zuniga, Ty Daly, Dom Moffitt, Vince Lawrence, Bobby Goff, and Denzel Brink. Then in the second round was Gideon Cushenberry, Roger Matthews. Third round, Grant Clapp. Fourth round, Bobby Grubb. Fifth round, Charlie Sternberger. Sixth round, Alani Cutting and Taj G. And seventh round, Miguel Mateo. In the transfer portal period, we have a couple of high schoolers that have not made decisions yet, so we're hoping that we can steal Andre McNitt away from Nebraska. And we got Trent Hickman at kicker. Hopefully we can just close this one out. And then for the actual transfers that we're looking at this year, you got Adonis Jones with 97 throw power, 87 speed and acceleration. Then we got Adrian Crumpler, a guy we tried to get last year, so we kind of know the deal with him already. Then we got Manuel Monday, another receiver, 95 speed and acceleration and just great stuff across the board. Then you got defensive tackle Latwan Ruse, that 96 power moves really sticks out, and he's got platinum pocket disruptor. Then you got Carl Smith, a good cornerback, and he's got a bunch of abilities, including that platinum house call. And then we got another corner with Steve McDaniels, also with platinum house call. So some guys we'd really love to add to the team this year. We have signed Andre McNitt, so that's a huge get for us, the 5-star tight end. And we also got the other high schooler, Trent Hickman, so set up for those positions now. Quarterback Adonis Jones has joined the Peteytown Piranhas. This will be a very defining week in our transfer portal here in week 3, as Adrian Crumpler will be on a visit and he got a big boost, so feeling good about him. Then Manuel Monday's in 4th place. We got him on a week 4 visit, and we also have a double soft sell going for him. Then Latwan Ruse is just below Miami. We got him on a week 4 visit and a hard sell for him, so we'll see what happens there. Then Carl Smith is in his top 3, and he'll be on a visit as well this week, so we'll see what happens. Then we got Steve McDaniels just below USC. He already had his visit, but we have him on a double soft sell, so just a lot of wait and see. Oh, welcome to the Peteytown Piranhas for Adrian Crumpler. A couple years in the making for him, so glad he's finally here. Then we got cornerback Carl Smith, a big get for us. We did lose out on Latwan Ruse to Miami, so we're going to have to take him off the board, unfortunately. And then you got that fun playing time bug on these two, so we'll see what happens. But since we got other guys at their position, it's not super need that we need them, but it'll be helpful if we do get them. The playing time grade did not stop Manuel Monday from joining the Peteytown Piranhas. Taking a look at the dev traits now for the guys that we got during the transfer portal. The high schoolers first with Andre McNitt. He's a star guy. Then kicker Trent Hickman is normal. Then the actual transfers, Adonis Jones, he's star. Adrian Crumpler is star. Carl Smith a star. And Manuel Monday a star. So love to see that from our transfers. And we missed out on Steve McDaniels, but he ended up being impact, so not as bad as it could have been. For our recruiting class, we ended up with 3 elite dev players and then 11 star dev players, so love that influx of talent for the Piranhas. And then for the top classes, we are the top class with our 26 total guys and 7 5-stars, 18 4-stars, and 1 3-star. Quarterback Stanley Turner is now a 99 overall, and we got him there by maxing out his accuracy, and his throw power is at 99, and his IQ went up to 84 awareness and 80 play action. Then for his abilities, he's got gold resistance, step up, and dot, and he already had that platinum on time. Running back David Rawlings is a 91 overall, 92 with tactician boosts, and for him, his quickness had already maxed out, and this offseason we got his elusiveness all the way maxed out. Then we also worked a little bit on his IQ, where he's got 91 ball carrier vision and 88 awareness. And then for his abilities, he's got platinum downhill and gold workhorse. Manuel Monday is technically our best receiver at 89 overall, and he did some work on his speed and acceleration as well as that gold takeoff ability, but I really want to talk about DeMarco Baskerville. He's a freshman, and he used a lot of skill points to get from 75 overall to 87 and 88 with tactician boosts. And for DeMarco, he's got his quickness up to 95 speed and 96 acceleration. He also did work on his hands and route running. And for his abilities, he's got platinum cutter, bronze layout, gold double dip, and silver sure hands. After starting some games after Stephen Fattencoon got injured, Dwayne Woodhead is going to take over the full-time starting role at tight end. And for him, his route running went up, his hands have maxed out, and his quickness was also maxed out before. And he also did work on his blocking. And with all of that, he's got gold sure hands and silver outside shield. Guard Damian Cummings is a 97 overall, 99 with tactician boosts, and he has met his cap in run blocking and pass blocking. He maxed out his power, and he was one tick away from maxing out IQ. And for his abilities, he's got platinum in everything, with pocket shield, outside shield, strong grip, option shield, and inside shield. Reed Cantwell has been playing center for a while for us, but now he's going to be moved back out to tackle, and he's a 99 overall there. And for his boost, he got pass blocking maxed, and he's got his power in a good spot where it's maxed out, and his IQ went up to 87 awareness and lead block. And we also boosted up his quickness. And with all that, we got platinum pocket shield, silver quick drop, and then platinum play action shield, strong grip, and wear down. Left edge John Callaway is a 99 overall player, and for him, he got his power moves and finesse moves to 95. Then his quickness was already at this 96 speed and acceleration, but I always love to point it out. He maxed out his run stopping, then he got his IQ to 90 awareness and 84 play rec. And then for his abilities, he's got platinum in everything, with quick jump, duress, takedown, pocket disruptor, and recoup. On the other edge will be Ed Henderson, a 96 overall, 97 with tactician boosts, and his power moves and finesse moves are at 95. His power is up very nicely, and his run stopping was maxed out, and his IQ went up a touch. And then for his abilities, he's got platinum pocket disruptor and duress, bronze grip breaker, and platinum workhorse and takedown. Outside linebacker Bruce Speed is 99 overall, and for him, his quickness has been maxed out, very appropriate for his name. His pass coverage is at 99 zone and man, and then his run stopping reached its cap. His IQ has been maxed out at 99 awareness and play rec, and his power took a little tick up. And for his abilities, he's got platinum house call, platinum robber, and gold wrap up. Jordan Owama is a 98 overall at cornerback, and for him, his man coverage hit its cap. His zone coverage was maxed out at 99. His quickness got up to 99 speed and 95 acceleration. And we did a lot of work on his run stopping, given his caps above. We had those extra points to use. And then for his abilities, he's got gold blanket coverage, silver jammer, platinum house call, bronze ball hawk, and platinum knockout. Nick Granson is a 92 overall, 93 with tactician boosts, and for him, his man coverage went up to 96. His zone is at 91 with 95 play rec. His quickness hit its cap at 93 speed and 95 acceleration. And for his abilities, he's got platinum robber, gold knockout and blanket coverage, and bronze ball hawk. Transfer cornerback Carl Smith is a 90 overall now, and his man coverage is 90. Then his zone coverage is 92 with 86 play rec. His quickness hit its cap before he got here. And then for his abilities, he's got silver blanket coverage and jammer, platinum house call, and silver ball hawk. Free safety LaShawn Fausha is a 99 overall, and for him, his zone coverage is at 99 with 95 awareness and 97 play rec. His man coverage is at 90, then his quickness has gotten to 97 speed and 96 acceleration. Then he got his run support up to 86 pursuit and 80 tackle. And for his abilities, he's got platinum ball hawk, house call, and robber, and he's got gold knockout. Strong safety Alfonso Harris is a 94 overall, and his zone coverage has gotten to 99, and he's also got 93 awareness and 99 play rec, and his quickness has hit its cap. And for his abilities, he's gotten to bronze ball hawk, platinum house call, and robber. Another year in the books for the Peteytown Piranhas, as it's another undefeated season and national championship winning season, so very proud of the guys for keeping that going, and just a lot of awards to be proud of. And we got a little push from Ohio State in the regular season. Maybe that's a little wake-up call that the regular season games aren't just a gimme, but we were able to prevail and win that one. So looking forward to next season, where we try to take sole possession of second place with 17 national championships, and we're still eyeing Yale in front of us with those 18, so still got plenty of things to play for as we continue in this dynasty. I'll see you guys in the next video.